Welcome to my channel. If you like my videos, then kindly subscribe, like and watch. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear friends, in today's lecture we will discuss the failure criteria, that is the part 5 of chapter number 7. So up till now we have discussed the transformation of plane stresses, principal stresses, maximum shear stresses, then we discussed the general state of stress and then application of Mohr circle to three-dimensional state of stress. Now in this lecture we will focus on yield criteria for ductile material under plane stress, and then we will move toward fracture criteria for brittle material under plane stress. So our main focus will be on these two topics. So basically these are the failure criteria. So if okay, so if you have an object or any element that is under tensile stress, for example there is sigma x, there is no sigma y, and sigma z is also 0 and no shear force, means this element is under tensile loading. So if you draw the Mohr circle for this tensile loading, so you will see there is only sigma x, so there will be one principal stresses, so that is, for example, again if you plot this point with respect to x and y, so x is sigma x comma tau of xy which is 0, and sigma y is sigma y comma tau of xy which is again 0 0. So this point will be this one, and this is sigma x. So if you plot the Mohr circle for this, it will be like this. So this is the Mohr circle for tensile uniaxial tensile test. So again if you increase this the value of sigma x, so the sigma x will move toward this, so we will have a different Mohr circle. For every point of sigma x we will have different Mohr circle. Now what if you increase this stress? So according to stress strain curve for ductile material, so there will be yield point sigma y. Clear? So this at this yield point permanent deformation will occur. So if sigma x reaches to sigma y, so let me draw the Mohr circle for this. Let's say this point is sigma x which is equal to sigma y. So Mohr circle for this will be like this. Again in this case the maximum shearing stress, which is tau max, will be equal to sigma y divided by 2, because this is sigma a, this is sigma b is 0, so sigma a minus sigma b divided by 2. So this will be equal to sigma a or sigma y divided by 2. So in this case when you applied a tensile test on any element, so at yield point the maximum shearing stress will be sigma y over 2. So this is for uniaxial tensile test. What if we apply, if the state of stress is not uniaxial, it is two-dimensional plane stress problem? So there is sigma x and there is a sigma y. So in this scenario you will have both this sigma 1, sigma maximum and sigma minimum, which is sigma a and sigma b. The Mohr circle will be like this. I hope you understand this thing, because all this thing has been explained to you. So this is sigma a and this is sigma b. So in this case the maximum shearing stress tau max will be equal to sigma a minus sigma b divided by 2. Clear? Now if we have the condition like this, if both are negative, clear? So in this case the Mohr circle will be like this will be sigma b, this will be the sigma a, and again maximum shearing stress will be sigma B minus sigma A divided by 2. Now you can see that this was initial uniaxial tensile test for which we get that maximum shearing stress is equal to sigma y by 2. So if your maximum shearing stress is equal to this, so yielding will occur. Now in this case, when you have two-dimensional plane stress problem, so you can see the maximum shearing stress that is in plane. Okay, so in plane will be equal to sigma A minus sigma B divided by 2. So what if we draw three-dimensional Mohr circle? So that will be sigma C, and this will be like this, and there will be another three-dimensional Mohr circle will be like this. So in this scenario, maximum shearing stress for out of plane, maximum shearing stress for out of plane will be equal to sigma A over 2. Clear? And in this scenario, if sigma C is equal to 0, because in this is two-dimensional, so sigma C is equal to 0, so there will be a Mohr circle, and there will be again a Mohr circle. And in this case, the maximum shearing stress out of plane, this will be equal to sigma B over 2. Now these are the cases that is explained to you when the both sigma 1 and sigma 2 are positive, when sigma A and sigma B both are negative. And there is a third case scenario when sigma A is positive and sigma B is negative. Let's discuss it as well. So if sigma A is positive and sigma B is negative, so Mohr circle will be like that. So this is sigma A, this is sigma B. So in this case, maximum shearing stress will be equal to, that is in plane, will be equal to, let me write over here, again there is a problem. Okay, so maximum shearing stress in this case when sigma A is positive and sigma B is negative, and that is equal to sigma A minus sigma B divided by 2. Now we have three scenario. One is this one when sigma A and sigma B both are positive, so maximum shearing stress will be equal to sigma A over 2. When both are negative, then maximum shearing stress is equal to sigma B over 2. And when sigma A and sigma B, when sigma A is positive and sigma B is negative, so in this case maximum shearing stress is equal to sigma A minus sigma B divided by 2. So these will be used in the failure criteria in order to find out the whether the element under the plane stress problem fails or not. So remember these things, we will discuss it in a while. Okay, so first of all we will discuss yield criteria for ductile material under plane state of stress. As you know that ductile materials yield or permanent deformation is produced in ductile material after the yielding. So clear? So yielding is the criteria for the failure of ductile material, while brittle material do not yield, so we will have only yielding criteria will be the ultimate tensile strength or strength. Clear? So here we are discussing the ductile material, so yield point will be the criteria for the failure of material that after reaching the yield point the object may fail under the plane state of stress. So failure of machine component subject to uniaxial stress is directly predicted from an equivalent tensile test. So again we have a tensile test from which we can find out. Here you can see we have tensile stress from which we have find out that for yielding the maximum shearing stress should be equal to sigma y by 2. Clear? So failure of machine component subject to plane stress cannot directly predicted from uniaxial test of specimen in a tensile test specimen. So if you look at this problem, so this is the uniaxial tensile test. Clear? But and the Mohr circle for this diagram is this one. But from this Mohr circle, we cannot predict the stresses for the two-dimensional plane of stress. Clear? So we will consider, we will apply this theory on our two-dimensional state of stress. It is convenient to determine the principal stress and to base the failure criteria on corresponding biaxial stress. So we will describe the biaxial state of stress. We will find out the principal stresses, and on the basis of that we will compare it with the uniaxial tensile test. Failure criteria are based on mechanism of failure, allow the comparison of failure condition to uniaxial test and biaxial component. So what is the failure criteria for ductile material? So that this failure criteria for ductile material is that we are going to study is known as maximum shearing stress criteria, or it is also known as Tresca criteria. Tresca criteria. Tresca is the name of scientist who discussed this or who discovered this failure theory. Clear? So the first one is maximum shearing stress criteria or Tresca criteria. The statement of this criteria is that structural component is safe as long as the maximum shearing stress is less than the maximum shearing stress in tensile specimen. So again, for if you have a two-dimensional plane state of stress. Clear? So again, by using this plane two-dimensional plane of state of stress, you will have a maximum shearing stress. Clear? So that maximum shearing stress should be less than the shearing stress in the tensile stress specimen, and this shearing stress in tensile test specimen is equal to sigma y by 2. Let me show you here again. So you can see that the shearing stress in uniaxial tensile test specimen is sigma y over 2. Clear? So again, let me repeat the statement that structural component is safe as long as maximum shearing stress, which is this one. Clear? For two-dimensional state of stress, it should be less than the maximum shearing stress in a tensile specimen at yield. So this max should be less than the shearing stress at the tensile test specimen in a unidirectional state of stress, and that is equal to sigma y by 2. So it means that maximum shearing stress should be less than sigma y over 2. Now again, if for two-dimensional state of stress, we have seen earlier that when you have the situation like this, so the principal stress is sigma A and sigma B may be positive, may come on this side. Both are positive. It may come over both as negative. Clear? So we have drawn the situation, and from this situation we concluded that maximum shearing stress when both sigma A, and this is sigma A and this is sigma B. So for this condition, the maximum shearing stress is equal to sigma A over 2. Now for this condition, I will not draw it. Let me go back so you can see for, let me choose another one. So for this, when sigma A and sigma B both are negative. Clear? So sigma B and sigma A both are negative. So in this case, maximum shearing stress is sigma B over 2. Clear? So either sigma A, maximum shearing stress, if both are positive, then maximum shearing stress is sigma A over 2. And if sigma A and sigma B both are negative, so the maximum shearing stress is sigma B over 2. So in both scenarios, that maximum shearing stress should be less than sigma yield divided by 2. Clear? Now the third scenario was that if sigma A and sigma B are with opposite sign, so in this case the maximum shearing stress is sigma A minus sigma B over 2. Let me show it again. So in this case you can see sigma A is here, sigma B is here. So both, one is positive, one is negative. So maximum shearing stress is sigma A minus sigma B divided by 2. So in this case, this sigma A minus sigma B divided by 2 should be less than sigma Y over 2. So this is the criteria. So for this, first of all, you will have a two-dimensional plane state of stress. So again, by using Mohr circle or plane stress transformation, you will calculate sigma A and sigma B, and then you will utilize the criteria. If sigma A and sigma B both are positive, so you will use this equation. Sigma A over 2 is less than sigma yield over 2, or sigma A is less than sigma yield. Similarly, if sigma A and sigma B both are negative, so you will use this equation. Sigma B is less or equal to sigma yield. So if sigma A and sigma B are opposite sign, so in that condition you will use this criteria. So if this criteria comes out to be true, clear? So it means that the object will not fail. But if it does not satisfy this criteria, means that object will be fail. In term of factor of safety, we can write this equation as these are the same equation. This and this equation is the same, but for factor of safety you have divide sigma yield divide by factor of safety. So sigma yield should be equal sigma A. Sigma A is the principal stress, clear? Maximum stress or principal stress. So sigma A is equal to sigma Y over factor of safety, and similarly sigma B is equal to sigma yield over factor of safety. And if have both opposite signs, so in this case sigma A minus sigma B should be equal to sigma Y over factor of safety. Okay, so this is the Tresca criteria, or the maximum sharing stress criteria. Again, you can see, let me delete something from the screen so that it may be visible to you again. So if you draw the graph between the principal stresses, this is sigma A and this is sigma B. So if sigma A and sigma B both are positive, so points will lie in the first quadrant. If sigma A and sigma B both are negative, so it will be in third quadrant. If one is positive, it may be in second, or it may be in the fourth quadrant, depend on the situation. So if again this criteria is based on the yielding criteria, so if you have the yield point, so first of all you have to plot yield point sigma A on x-axis and y-axis, similarly on x-axis and y-axis. And again in this ductile yield criteria for ductile material, the tensile stress in the yield stress or yield strength in tensile and compression is same. So again if you plot all these points, so you can see sigma A should be less than sigma Y. If it reach to sigma Y, the yielding will start, clear? Similarly sigma B should be less than sigma Y. So again if this is Y and this is Y, so if you intersect these points, so this will be the region. If sigma A and sigma B lies within this region, so it will be safe. Similarly for negative, is sigma Y is sigma A is negative and sigma B is also a negative, so this will be the point, clear? Again if you join this point with this line, so this will be a linear line, clear? And similarly this will be the linear line, so it will give you an envelope. So this is the any coordinate points of sigma A and sigma B, if they lies within this envelope, so it will satisfy the criteria and object will not yield. For example, if sigma A and sigma B both are positive and lies anywhere over here, it will satisfy the criteria and object will be safe and it will not fail. If sigma A and sigma B both are negative and lie in this area, so it will be safe and the material will not fail under the loading condition. Similarly, if sigma A is negative and sigma B is positive, clear? So all the points will be, if lies in this region, so it will be not fail. Similarly, if sigma A is positive and sigma B is negative, so all point must lie within this region, so it will not safe. For example, if a point lies over here, clear? So in this case you can see this point is outside this envelope, so it will fail. So, or if point lies in this region, so it will fail, clear? I think it's clear to you this is the maximum shearing stress criteria for ductile material. I will repeat that maximum shearing stress should be less than the maximum shearing stress in tensile test specimen, which is sigma y by 2. So in case if you have both A and B positive, so then this condition sigma A over 2 is less than sigma yield over 2. If both are negative, so in this case sigma B over 2 is less than sigma yield over 2, or sigma B is less than sigma not equal, sorry, so it should be less than sigma yield. So if sigma A and sigma B both are opposite, so in this condition sigma A minus sigma B should be less than sigma yield, not equal to. It should be less than, for safe design it should be less than sigma y. Now let's move to another failure criteria for ductile material, that is known as maximum distortion energy criteria. And this maximum distortion energy criteria states that the structural component is safe as long as distortion energy per unit volume, which is UD is less than the distortion energy that occurring in a tensile test specimen at yield. So this is the condition, UD is less than UY. UD is the distortion energy per unit volume that should be less than the distortion energy per unit volume occurring in a tensile test specimen at yield. So if you have this stress strain diagram for a ductile material, so this point is yield point. Now this is the area under this diagram is the not sigma, this is UY, and let me change it, this is not small y, this is capital Y. Clear? So this is the distortion energy per unit volume in a tensile test specimen at yield. So again, whenever you applied force, it will absorb energy for deformation. Clear? So this is UD, distortion energy per unit volume while working should be less than the distortion energy per unit volume in a specimen. And in chapter number 11 it is given that UD is equal to 1 over 6 G into sigma A square minus AB into minus A into sigma B plus sigma B square. We will also derive this there is a very lengthy derivation for this strain energy or distortion energy per unit volume, so we will look at later, but now you have to memorize that strain or distortion energy per unit volume is equal to 1 over 6 G into sigma A square minus sigma A into sigma B plus sigma B square. Clear? Where G is modulus of modulus of rigidity. Clear? And sigma A is the principal stresses or normal principal stresses, sigma A and sigma B are principal stresses. Now this UD must be less than UY. Again, for this is for two-dimensional state of stress because sigma A and sigma B are there, and in unidirectional tensile test there will be no sigma B because there is only one normal stress or principal stress. So again, if you replace sigma A with sigma Y and sigma B is equal to 0, so this equation will become equal to sigma A square minus sigma A into sigma B plus sigma B square, that should be less than sigma yield square. And this is the criteria for the failure of ductile material, and this criteria is known as maximum distortion energy criteria. Again, you will be having state of stress that will be given. Clear? And from that state of stress you will find sigma A and sigma B either by using Mohr circle or by using transformation equation. So once you have sigma A and sigma B, you can put it in this equation, and if it is less than sigma yield square, Clear? So the material object will not fail. Clear? Now you can see that this is the second degree equation, and this is equation for ellipse. Again, if I draw it over here, let me show you that initially we have, let's say if you have a yield point sigma y that is positive in tensile, and as well as it is negative in compression, that is minus sigma y. Similarly, this is minus sigma y. Clear? So now you can see if you have this point and you have this equation, so if you put sigma a and sigma b in this equation, so again you will have a ellipse form. It will be like a ellipse form. So this is the envelope for maximum distortion energy criteria. So any point that will lie in this ellipse or in this envelope, it will be safe. Any point that is above or out of this range, so it will fail. So for example, this point is, if you plot the point, clear, so you can see this is out of envelope, so it will be fail. Remember that you have to draw this graphical representation on graph paper as per scale. So I have drawn it roughly over here, but if you want to draw it, so you have to draw it as per scale on the graph paper. Again, you can see that if we look at this figure, so this is yield point and this is yield point. So if you forward this point, or if you extend this point and extend this point, and similarly if yield point, this point is extend and this point is extend, and if you join these 2 points, so you can see now this is the envelope for Tresca criteria. Clear? So what does it mean? It means that, let me zoom it also. So now you can see that this is the envelope for the Tresca criteria. Clear? And this elliptical form is the envelope for maximum distortion energy criteria. And you can see that maximum distortion energy criteria give us more space, or it is flexible to the failure criteria. Again, if your point is like this, clear, so it is satisfying both Tresca criteria and normal stress criteria. What if you have a point over here? Clear? So again, this point is inside the envelope of normal distortion energy criteria, but it is outside the Tresca criteria. So Tresca criteria is more rigid as compared to normal stress criteria. So again, if now you have both of these 2 criteria, so the question arises that which criteria is better to use. So again, from this diagram or from this figure, you can see that this normal stress maximum distortion energy criteria is more flexible toward this. So definitely the answer is that it is better to use the maximum distortion energy criteria as compared to Tresca criteria. I hope it's clear to you now. So for maximum distortion energy criteria, you have to memorize this condition, and whether if the condition is satisfied, the object will be safe. If it is not satisfied, or if this term is greater than sigma yield square, so definitely your object will fail. Now we will move toward fracture criteria for brittle material under plane stress. So for example, if you have any object and that is under state of plane stress, for example like this and this, clear, sigma x and sigma y. So brittle material fails suddenly through rupture. Again, we have studied that brittle material do not have yield point and it start at ultimate tensile strength. So for brittle material fails suddenly through rupture or fracture in a tensile test, the failure condition is characterized by ultimate strength. So again, maximum normal stress in this condition. So your normal stress sigma A or principal stress sigma A should be less than sigma yield for safe object or for object to not fail. Sigma A should be less than sigma yield, or sigma B should be less than sigma yield. So structural component is safe as long as the maximum normal stress is less than ultimate strength of tensile specimen. So sigma A is less than sigma U and sigma B is less than sigma U. So this is the failure criteria for brittle material. So if you plot it, you can see that again one more thing, that the condition that is taken in this failure criteria is that sigma U under tensile is taken as equal to sigma U in compression. The assumption that is taken in this failure criteria for brittle material is that ultimate strength under the tensile loading is same that under ultimate strength under the compression, which is wrong. Okay, so first put over here sigma U, because sigma A is less than sigma U. If sigma A reaches to U, it will fail. Similarly, sigma on sigma B should be less than sigma U and negative. So this, if you join them, clear, so it will, the envelope will be like this. So any point inside this envelope, so according to this failure criteria, it will be safe. For example, if sigma A is negative and sigma B is positive, so at this point, again, if this is the point in which sigma A is positive and sigma B is negative, so it will be safe. And if the point is here, so you can see it is outside the envelope and sigma A is greater than sigma U, so it will fail. Okay, so this is the failure criteria for brittle material under plane stress. And one more thing is again that there is a limitation of this failure theory in which it is based on the fact that sigma ultimate under the tensile loading is same in as sigma ultimate in compression loading. They have taken this assumption, which is totally wrong. Actually, sigma U under tensile loading is less than sigma U under compression. Clear? Why? I will also explain this, but this is the limitation of this theory, and that is why they cannot be used for material under the compression. Okay, so you can see that this criteria is based on the assumption that the ultimate strength of material is same in tension and in compression, which is shortcoming of this theory. So we cannot apply this theory, which is maximum normal stress criteria for brittle material, and that is we cannot apply this on a material under the compression. Now, in order to remove this limitation of maximum normal stress criteria, or it is also known as Coulomb's criteria, we will see another criteria that is known as Mohr's criteria. So that is Mohr criteria, and this is also a fracture criteria for brittle material under plane stress. So Mohr criteria is again basically used for the brittle material, and in this criteria the Mohr theory of failure is used to predict the fracture of material having different properties in tension and compression when result of various type of tests are available for that material. So in our previous slide we discussed that ultimate tensile strength in compression is greater than ultimate strength under the tension. The reason is that the material having a micro you can see you have a flaws or defects in that, so our spaces or pores, nano flaws are there. So if the material is under compression, so again that gap will be filled up. Clear? After compression, the gap will be filled up and the strength of the material will increase. So ultimate strength in under the compression is greater. While if you applied tensile test over the same specimen, so also the cracks or the spaces in that will propagate and it will cause the strength to reduce. So ultimate strength under the tensile loading is less than ultimate strength in under the compression. So now Mohr theory is applied, failure theory, that is applied on the material that is having different strength under the tension and compression. Now if you look at this figure, so for that, if you have a object and you applied a uniaxial tensile strength till yielding, clear, till not that is for brittle material, so for fracture, so ultimate strength. So if you applied a uniaxial tensile test, so you will be having Mohr circle like this one. So you can see sigma A should be equal to sigma ut for breakage. Clear? So this is the Mohr circle for tensile test specimen. Similarly, if you have an object and you compressed it, clear, so sigma x. So the for compression test, the standard Mohr circle will be this one, and this sigma u compression is equal to sigma a or sigma x. Clear? Now the as we discussed that ultimate strength in compression is greater than ultimate strength in tension. So this circle is larger or greater diameter as compared to this circle which is for tensile test. Clear? Now if you have state of stress that lies within this circle, again remember that these two circles are for the standard tensile test and a standard compression test. So if you have a loading that lies within this circle, so it will be same. Similarly, if you have a compressed object that in which you have sigma A and sigma B and that lies within this circle, the standard test circle, so it will be safe. Clear? So if both principal stresses are positive, the state of stress is safe as long as sigma A is less than sigma ut and sigma B is less than sigma ut. So again in this case, if you take standard tensile test, so you can see if sigma A, let me zoom it over here, you can see this is your state of stress. So again this is sigma A and this is sigma B. So you can see sigma A is less than sigma ut and sigma B is also less than sigma ut. So this object will be safe for tensile. So if both stresses are negative, so negative means that they are under compression. So sigma A is negative and sigma B is negative. So again in this criteria, sigma A is less than sigma u and sigma B is less than sigma u. So this is the failure criteria for brittle material as discussed by Mohr theory. Again, if you want to draw it graphically, so you have x-axis and y-axis. On x-axis you will take sigma A and on y-axis you take sigma B, and sigma A and sigma B are the principal stresses. So for tensile stress, so this is, let's say this is your ultimate strength under tension and this is your ultimate stress under tension. Similarly, this point is your ultimate stress under compression and this is under compression. So if you are talking about ultimate strength under tension, so this will be your envelope. Clear? Any point inside this will be safe for the tensile stress under ultimate strength under compression. So if point is like this, so you can see sigma B is less than sigma ut, but sigma A is greater than sigma ut. So it will be fail under the tensile test. Clear? Now similarly same is the case for compression stress. So if you join these 2 points, let me erase these things. So if you join these 2 points, so definitely this is for compression test. So if sigma A and sigma B both are negative, so any point lies in this will be, both will be negative. Clear? And the object will not fail. The brittle material will not fail. So if point is outside this region, so it will fail. Now, if we move further, the criteria, let me take a break due to Azan. Okay, now up till now we discussed that if you have a tensile test for brittle material, so more circle will be that, and for compression test for brittle material, it will be like that, and its envelope will be like this. This is sigma A, this is sigma B. Similarly, there, this is sigma C, so it will be U C. So this is sigma UT. So envelope will be like that. Now we have a condition for the object which is under pure shear. Clear? So what will be its Mohr circle? So again for this we will have a Mohr circle. You will have a shear point over here, and you will have a shear point over here. And if you draw the Mohr circle, so this will be sigma A and this will be sigma B. So this is represented over here. This circle is for pure shear, object under the pure shear. So this is sigma A, this is sigma B. So again, if you draw the tangent of these circle, these three circles, so it will be look like this. So this represent the, now this represent this, tangents will represent this. So any point, or if your principal stresses lies within this range, so it will be safe. If it is again outside this envelope, so it will be failed. Again you can see here both A and B, sigma A and sigma B will be positive, so it will be tensile ultimate strength under tensile. Here you can see in third quadrant sigma A and sigma B both are negative, so it represents the then ultimate strength under compression. Now if it is the point, so you here sigma A is negative and sigma B is positive, so it represents the condition under the shear loading. So again here sigma A is positive and sigma B is negative, so again any point that lies within this envelope, it will, the design or structure will remain safe for the brittle material. So this was all about failure criteria that we discussed about ductile material. The first one was maximum shear stress criteria or Tresca criteria. Then we discussed maximum distortion energy criteria, and that is we find out that maximum distortion energy criteria is more flexible as compared to the Tresca criteria. Then we discussed the fracture criteria for brittle material, in which we first discussed the maximum normal stress criteria, which is this one, sigma A is less than sigma U and sigma B is less than sigma U, but it got certain limitation that it can be not be applied to object under compression because they have different strength under tension and compression. So in order to accommodate this, we discuss the another failure criteria for brittle material, that is based on Mohr criteria, and we checked out that material behavior of material under the tensile loading is different as compared to the strength of material under the compression. Both have different. So under compression it has got higher strength as compared to tensile strength. And then we discussed this envelope and we find out the envelope for the Mohr criteria. So any point that lies inside this envelope will be your safe design for the written material. Now let's move toward a sample problem 7.4. This is a very easy problem, and we will apply the failure criteria in order to solve this problem. So the problem statement is that the state of plane stress shown at a critical point of steel machine component as a result of several tensile stress. The tensile yield strength sigma y is equal to 250 megapascal for grade steel. So determine the factor of safety with respect to yielding. So you have to use the uh, criteria for ductile material. Also it is given like maximum shearing stress criteria. So you will use Tresca criteria, and you will use maximum distortion energy criteria. Clear? So to find out the factor of safety, again you can see here sigma x is given. Sigma x is equal to 80 megapascal. Clear? Sigma y is given, that is minus 40 megapascal, that is under compression, and tau is given, tau xy is given as positive 80 megapascal. Now you must be able to know how this sigma tau of xy is positive. So now you have all these value. Whether you draw Mohr circle or use transform equation, you will get sigma A and sigma B. I will not draw Mohr circle or solve this. You will have to solve it by your own, and you will have to calculate sigma A and sigma B, which is the principal stresses. So again you can see for calculating principal stresses, sigma A or sigma B is equal to this formula plus minus this. So if you put the values, so sigma A is 85 megapascal and sigma B is minus 45 megapascal. Now for factor of safety, we have this criteria. You can see over here we have discussed for factor of safety. Now you can see which criteria we will use. A and this is for A is positive and B is 0, or like both have same sign. Now in this scenario you can see that A and B have opposite sign, so definitely you will use this criteria. So you will use this formula, sigma A minus sigma B mod is less than sigma y over factor of safety. So let's move to, you can see sigma A minus sigma B mod is equal to sigma y over factor of safety. Sigma A is 85 minus sigma B is minus 45, which will be plus 45, is equal to sigma yield is 250 divided by factor of safety. So you want to find out factor of safety, so it will be here and this value will be here. So 250 divided by this term will give you factor of safety 1.92. So this is factor of safety for the material under the loading as under the maximum shear stress criteria or Tresca criteria. Now for maximum distortion energy criteria, we have this formula which you have seen over here. You can see I have written the formula over here for maximum distortion energy criteria. So we have used sigma A square minus sigma A into sigma B plus sigma B square is equal to sigma y over Fs, factor of safety whole square. So if you put all the value, you will have factor of safety 2.119. So again you can see that the design under the maximum distortion energy criteria is much are greater than this, so it is more flexible as compared to Tresca criteria. Again, if you want this, this is the answers of this question. So again, if you want to draw them on graph, you can also verify it as well. Again, for that you have sigma on x-axis sigma A, and on y-axis you have to sigma B. You have to take appropriate scale and to draw the value of sigma y. When you draw the value of sigma y over here, it will be the same sigma y, and it again here minus sigma y. All the distance will be same and minus sigma y. So you will have the envelope for the Tresca criteria, which will be the same. And as you will draw it by scale, so it will be accurate one. Again, for maximum distortion energy criteria, so if you plot them, so it will be like ellipse. Clear? Now again you have sigma, the value of sigma A and sigma B. Sigma A was 85 megapascal and sigma B is minus 45 megapascal. So if you locate minus 80 and 45, again I am doing it here as roughly, so you have to draw it on graph paper as per scale. So when you locate 85 on x-axis and minus 45 on y-axis, you will get this point H. So this is the point. At this point, horizontal R sigma A is 85 and vertical, this distance from this point to this point, it will be 45, and this is downward, so it is minus y. So this point is, let this point is O and this point is H. Again, this is the maximum boundary, this, let this point is T. So if you measure this length and as per scale you can find this length, so factor of safety can be found by using OT, which is this distance, OT divided by OH. So OT, you have to calculate this length and by using ruler, and then you take this length. So when you divide this, it will also give you 1.92. Similarly for maximum distortion energy criteria, so this will be your point, clear, which is OM. So this, let this point, so OM over this OH will give you 2.19. And again you can see that the maximum distortion energy criteria is more favorable or flexible as compared to Tresca criteria. Again, it is, remember that any a state of stress may verify, which may verify the Tresca criteria will obviously verify the maximum distortion energy criteria or von Mises criteria. But a state of stress that is satisfying the von Mises criteria or maximum distortion energy criteria must not necessarily satisfy the Tresca criteria. It may or may not depend upon the situation. So this was all about failure criteria. I hope you have enjoyed the lecture. If you have any question, you can ask in comment section. Thank you.